Friday was Arbor Day, our once-yearly official celebration of trees. Here at Sunday Morning, our resident reveler-in-chief is Correspondent Martha Teichner.
There's something about a tree, you know, the rootedness of a tree, the solidity of it, the fact that it's just kind of always there.
Amy Stewart's latest book is about people who collect trees. Yes, there are such people. She considers herself one of them.
We feel this sense that their lifespan is longer than ours, and that there's a majesty to that, but there's also this kind of calmness to it. There's this peace that comes with that. I wanted to do a portrait of the people and portraits of the trees.
The tree collections in her book are all pretty amazing, so it's no wonder she wanted us to see San Francisco's Salesforce Park.
The inside of the park is sort of the social side.
Adam Greenspan is the park's landscape architect.
Beautiful peeling bark.
Here, the trees, more than 600 of them, are not just generic landscaping. They include groupings of rare specimens from San Francisco-like climates all over the world.
Here on this site in San Francisco, they found a mammoth's molar, and we then made this garden sort of in honor of that.
For example, the monkey puzzle tree, or the Wallamai pine. Today, they live, and here's the surprise, 4 stories above the street, surrounded by high-rise office towers, on the 5-acre roof of a bus station. Every time a bus pulls in or out, up here, this fountain follows its motion.
I woke up and realized, instead of going with the flow, I should start making some waves.
I think you did.
This is it. Big tsunami.
Speaking of unexpected tree collections, meet Kao Saelee. You can't miss his house.
So these are tropical fruit trees that are native to either the Amazon rainforest or the jungles of Southeast Asia. It's actually the world's sweetest mango variety. I mean, this is native to the Philippines.
What? A jungle? Here in Visalia, California, the land of dried-up lawns, near 100-degree heat, and practically non-existent humidity?
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense growing tropical fruit trees here. However, I find that with some techniques, you actually can get them to go here while still using very minimal amount of water.
Less water than it takes for grass, and less work, he says.
These are what's known as jackfruits, gigantic size Vietnamese mango here. The longans is a lot like a grape. In fact, these are...
All of this has grown up in just 6 years.
I've seen them called sweet tops, custard apples, but in the region we call them cherimoyas. Just insanely custardy, and just the smell alone is intoxicating.
Amy Stewart discovered Kao Saelee on YouTube.
Good afternoon.
His daughter shoots his show on a phone.
It's just this explosion. It's like there's a party happening at his house.
The Tree Collectors is Stewart's 14th book, the first she's illustrated herself. The common denominator in the 50 vignettes she includes, passion.
So here's Reagan Wytsalucy, who is working to preserve Navajo peach trees. Her story just knocked me out.
Page 177, The Peach Caretaker. If there's one story in the book that conveys how much more than just trees can be, it's this one.
She's reclaiming her history, and she's righting the wrongs of the past.
It's like a calling. It's a personal calling for me.
Do you know the word for peach in the Navajo language?
Dene Dedetzo.
For centuries, the small, drought-resistant peaches the Navajo grew across the Southwest were an important food source, until the early 1860s, when the U.S. Army, led by legendary frontiersman Kit Carson, cut down their peach orchards, thousands of trees, and drove the Navajo off their lands.
The goal was to destroy their way of life, to starve them out, and to erase their history.
The removal of the Navajo was called the Long Walk.
It was over 200 miles that they had to walk. Many people were sick. A lot of the elderly passed away during this time. Some people ended up killing themselves to make sure that they didn't go.
Among those who resisted, Reagan Wytsalucy's great-great-great-grandfather. His name?
If I pronounce it right, it's Hushkini Indi.
In the remote canyons where he hid for several years in Arizona, there were still a few peach trees. He kept them alive and planted more.
These are the peach trees, but this is one of the first trees that I planted from the first set of seeds that I collected.
Seeds from descendants of those same trees her ancestors saved, given to her only after tribal elders granted permission.
They're very well adapted to the high desert climate.
A PhD plant scientist working with Utah State University, Wytsalucy thinks fate chose her to revive the Navajo peach.
I felt like I had gold in my hands. In a lot of these areas where these trees are, like, you have to go into some of these canyons an hour, and some places you're restricted. You're not allowed to go. And so, I don't know, like, I was able to kind of take a deep breath of relief, like, okay, like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to.
Is tree collecting a statement of optimism?
Yes, more than anything. I think planting a tree is an act of hope. You know, so the poet W.S. Merwin is in the book because he planted palm trees at his place in Hawaii, a tree a day probably for 30 years. And he has a wonderful poem that's the epigraph for the book.
On the last day of the world, I would want to plant a tree.
That's pretty wonderful.
It says everything.